Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Haj-Assad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, corporeal and non-corporeal spooky season listeners.
Greetings to everyone. I hope you've enjoyed your spooky season. Ben and I are a pair of automotive journalists. We're also very good friends. Isn't that what makes this podcast so unique?
Debatable.
You can find Ben's work all over the internet. Ben, plug a couple of the publications you've been writing for.
You can find my work at Spooky Motor Trend and Horrific Haggerty and Ghostly Driving.ca.
And you can find my work at driving.ca and autotrader.ca. Ben,
not
you also have
the spooky versions?
No, not the spooky versions. I don't write spooky content lately.
Content. You never write content. Don't use the word content.
What should I write? How should I describe the
articles,
the pieces of
features, reviews, BOMO? I don't know, whatever you want to. I just
also
feel like content is reductive and it likens us to cogs.
I also do some videos for the driving.ca YouTube channel.
There you go.
I don't really know what the URL for that is, but I'm sure if you search for it, you'll find it.
And you'll find a bunch of other fun YouTube stuff that it's always throwing at you. Thank you, algorithm.
YouTube is great at that.
Sammy,
yeah?
Do you ever wear a spooky costume when you're doing one of these videos?
No, I don't. Not on these videos. I should. I think I've worn a costume once in my entire career on video.
Do you want to talk about that, or is that something you talk about with your therapist?
No, I can talk about it. It was for an old M5 video I did for Auto Guide, and I made the argument that it's expensive, but it's like having 5 different cars in one, and so I took a different costume for each personality of the car.
Do you remember what the costumes were?
I think one was like a professional driver, one was like a race car driver, one was a like a family person, a family guy. One was like a hacker, I think. I don't know how that
hacker.
Yeah, like a computer person,
like hacker from like the movie Hackers, or hacker like Hugh Jackman from Swordfish.
No, I can't pull off a swordfish.
Or
hacker.
Chris Hemsworth from Black Hat.
No, neither of those. I guess the movie Hackers.
Did you ever dress like Madonna from the video she did with Clive Owen in the M5?
I think we both know the answer to that, and I'm not even gonna make it public.
It's amazed.
Up to your imagination.
I'm amazed at the level of dedication and craft you've invested in this single video, which has
that has never
which
been
is
done
absent from the rest of your career on camera. You were like, it's all going in this one moment, and then from here on out, it's like no more costumes.
Well, let me go and see what the take rate on the feedback was on such a video.
No, I want to also ask you, on other videos, you might not have worn a costume, but did you wear like mime makeup or clown makeup? Because that's like a costume. That's like half a costume.
Mime makeup?
Yeah, like you paint your face white if you're a mime.
No,
like a disturbing chalk white. Have you never seen a mime
in person? I know what they can be. I know that they
what?
But I think traditionally you're looking at a mime. Are we really going to talk about this, man? Why don't we talk about cards, I
thought we were, but then you got sidetracked when you told me the astounding revelation that you don't know what a mime is.
I do know what a mime is.
You're like, why would a mime wear makeup?
You make it sound like I'm an AI not knowing what a mime is.
Absolutely. That's a really big leap, dude.
I know what a mime is. I know what the act of miming is. And,
do you know that I went to a clown camp once when I was a teenager?
I think I do know this. I'm not sure if you talked about it on the podcast, but I know this about you.
It was actually a drama camp that had a clown segment, and we learned how to do clown stuff.
So what? It was like one class during the camp?
No,
one
it was
day?
like multiple days. Yeah.
So like every day during, how long was this camp? Like a week long?
Probably a week.
And
I went to it a couple of times.
At every like 7 a.m. there was like camp. There was like clowning.
I don't remember the details because I was very young. I do remember that when you had the clown nose on, you weren't allowed to talk, but you could make like gibberish noises, which is how clowns communicate. There's a whole infrastructure of clowning that we're
I love it. Of. I think we should consider making the clowning a part of our podcast going forward.
Moving on to cars. Before we move on to cars,
do we have the most clown-like of car lineups today?
No, but I do have a Kickstarter campaign that's currently going.
And I want you to talk about it.
When this comes out, you're going to have a couple days to get in on it. ModelUNcomic.com, Aliens, 90s, High School, Fate of the Earth hanging in the balance. I know a lot of you are already in on the campaign. I want to say thank you. We've already met our goal. Just kind of get it out in front of as many different eyeballs as possible. Tell your friends all about it. ModelUNcomic.com. Back to you, Sammy.
We don't have a clown lineup of cars today.
No, not at all. We
do have some interesting cars to talk about. We usually talk about interesting cars.
What's your number one clown car?
Number one clown car? What is it called? BMW Z M Coupe.
Okay, mine's a micro because you get to fit tiny clowns inside big clowns inside a tiny car, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Isn't the nickname for the ZM Coupe the clown shoe?
Yeah, but a clown shoe is not a clown car. I think you're getting lost in the
in the anatomy of a clown rather than the personality of a clown.
Would you watch a movie called The Anatomy of a Clown?
Why? Are you working on one?
No, I wouldn't say I'm not working on
one. I support you. This is a movie that I would watch for you.
Okay. All right. 1 ticket sold.
Perfect. Yeah, how many more you need to recoup your loss?
Anatomyofaclown.net.
How many more do you need to recoup your clown camp?
There is no accounting for the emotional losses I suffered while filming Anatomy of a Clown.
Okay.
Truly a mistake.
We've got a really important car to talk about. Extremely important car to talk about. That we have really put off. It's the 2020, is it 2025 Chevrolet?
Yes.
Blazer.
You're almost there.
Blazer SS.
That's right.
The SS stands for something.
Super Sport.
This means that it's not only sporty, but very sporty, right?
Yeah, supremely sporty. Here's the thing. Chevy has gotten weird about the Ultium platform. And I want to say that that's because I think they got a little too excited about about like the potential of a brand new EV platform. And the reason I say this is because you can order a Blazer in all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive versions. That is all on the table.
Who was asking for front-wheel drive?
Let alone all three of these things. This is the Neapolitan ice cream of electric SUVs. There is no compelling reason for there to be all three of these options. Either make it all-wheel drive and one of the others, or just leave it alone. Because as Sami points out, there's no mechanically with an electric vehicle, there's no advantage to having a front-wheel drive setup. In a gas-powered vehicle, the reason front-wheel drive cars are so dominant is because of packaging. You can put everything, like engine, transmission, and the drivetrain in one unit. You put that unit in a small place, and you can easily move it around for cars that have 4-cylinder motors, 3-cylinder motors, relatively compact drivetrain, which lets you make the cabin pretty big. You don't have a hump on the floor for the transmission and all that stuff in a lot of cases. And it's also cheaper to build that way. So it makes sense. But dynamically, when you're driving a car, physics dictates that when you accelerate, the mass of the car shifts towards the rear wheels.
Yeah.
Which means that in a front-wheel drive vehicle, when you accelerate, the mass lifts off of the drive wheels, which can affect traction, especially if you have a lot of power.
Absolutely.
So and physics,
which is why a lot of enthusiast-oriented cars stick to rear-wheel drive,
exactly,
and a rear-biased all-wheel drive system.
And physics part 2 also dictates that when you have tires, the contact patch of your tires it has a certain level of grip which can't be exceeded. So if you're accelerating, that's going to put pressure on the grip. And if you're steering, that's going to put pressure on the grip. But if you're doing both at the same time, that is going to be a problem, which is why front-wheel drive cars typically traditionally don't handle as well as rear-wheel drive cars, because in a rear-wheel drive car, the acceleration is on one axle and the steering is on the other. There's less of a demand on the traction on the contact patch of those front tires. Sorry for the car 101 thing. I just wanted to
It's important to discuss because, a lot of cars come in different, wheel or powertrain configurations. Very few cars, if any, I think, come with all three setups, right? Like, that's really
I
wild.
want to say the Blazer's the only one. right now.
Current one on sale or ever?
On sale and ever? That's a good question.
I'm sure that I think there's maybe a European car that's also done this.
Like from like Czechoslovakia?
No,
like
no,
Tatra?
I think it's also an EV. I think they've also pulled it off.
Really? Okay. So
I'll look into it. Maybe it's just a Chevrolet brand thing.
So I can't understand this, but it happened.
It happened.
The other thing about Blazer is that it's really similar to the Equinox. Like,
really? I thought the Equinox has a smaller battery and way less power.
I'm just talking about in terms of like design.
Oh yeah,
and size. Like the Equinox is smaller, but when I drove it this winter, it felt big. It drove bigger than it is, and
in a good way or a bad way.
I'm going to stay neutral on that. It was just a sensation that I had. So
okay, but like, hold on. Let me talk though. In terms of design, this like idea of like one exterior design being spread across. I mean, this is how Audi used to design their cars all the time.
I'm saying this is almost like
A6,
Chevy's Audi inspiration, where they were like, okay, the Equinox and the Blazer are going to be very similar, and you can almost see it at Cadillac as well. Now that they have the Optic, the Lyriq, and the other ick,
and the Optic.
That was the first thing I said.
Lyriq, Optic, Vistic.
Oh my goodness.
Is that all of them? I think there's one more we're missing. It's
there's Escalade ick as well. Right?
Yeah.
Escalade. So they're all very similar, but I do think they do a decent job of differentiating them. I'm just not sure that the Blazer and the Equinox are different enough. Like, I have trouble telling them apart at first glance while I'm driving.
Okay.
What about
you? That's fine. No, I think I agree with you. I think I have to double check. Maybe it's the fact that I don't see a lot of Blazers, and I think I see more Equinoxes. So I just assume, and especially because the Equinox is considerably more affordable than a Blazer, I just assume that it's the Equinox all the time.
I have a question. Why did you send me the Wikipedia link to Neapolitan ice cream in our chat?
Because I thought it would be interesting for you to bring up on the air, considering you used the term Neapolitan ice cream. It's a really good tangent where we can understand that the very first recorded recipe of the Neapolitan ice cream was actually in a Prussian household.
What? How was that a good tangent? No, I'm shutting this down.
No, okay, fine. The other thing to point out is that I think I started seeing some of these Ultium. One of the things that I think are really important about the Equinox and the Blazer, I started seeing, I think, them being used by my local police force. I've
seen a lot of gas-powered Equinox and Blazers used by law enforcement. But here's something weird. When I got the Monroney, which is the order sheet for this Blazer SS that I'm driving, in French, because it's in Quebec, it said Pursuit Vehicle 9C1, and then it said 2SS trim level. And I contacted GM and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, that's wrong.
So you don't believe it, or they're doing a cover up?
Well, I was just like,
how am I going to figure out exactly which trim level and packaging I have?
I think it was just a typo on the Monroney, but it does link up with what you were just saying. 9C1, cool. The universal GM code for a police package.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good to know. 9C1 all across like history in models.
Well, as far back as like the Caprices that they used to offer, those are all 9C1 cars. So
is this something I didn't know ever? 9C1? Anytime somebody says 9C1, they're talking about...
How many people say that to you, though? Is that like a regular
thing? I mean, I don't talk to anyone but you anymore. I don't know what happened to my life.
Is that the Neapolitan ice cream?
I'm Googling it. There must be a Wikipedia article for 9C1.
Yeah, the Prussian household that invented the 9C1 ordering code. GM loves it.
It is. There's a whole Wikipedia article on this. Well done, man.
GM loves its alphanumeric ordering codes. RKO? No, what is it? There's a certain, anyway, I can't remember. There's a specific RPO. There you go. Something production order.
It's considered a special equipment order now, as opposed to the regular production order RPO.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so but then the Blazer is like this big old thing.
This big old thing. That's what they advertise it as.
They should.
Come on down.
What's going on? The thing is, I know the Equinox has like, I think, a 60 kilowatt hour battery or an 80 kilowatt hour battery.
So the Blazer, the base Blazer, has 85 kilowatt hours.
85.
But the SS steps up to 102. The reason for that, and here's what's interesting too. If we're going to get even more in the weeds about this all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive thing,
yeah,
the fastest version of the non-SS Blazer is the RS rear wheel drive. The rear
how
wheel
fast
drive,
is that?
it has 364 horsepower. If you want all-wheel drive for the RS trim, you get a second motor, right? And a lot of the time when you have an EV with 2 motors, that's a lot of power.
That
gives you more power. It's the opposite here. It drops down to 300 horsepower.
I wonder what that's all about.
I have absolutely no idea, and I've never seen it properly explained. It is an unusual thing. Now,
should I send an email to somebody and get this cleared up for our podcast?
Ask them about 9C what.
No, I'm not going to do that. I think they get concerned when a guy of my complexion and last name asks people about police cars.
So, and also the RS trim is the only. Sorry, the LT is front wheel drive or all wheel drive, but the RS is. No, this doesn't make. I'm not even going to get into this. Forget it. Let's move on to the SS.
Talk to me about the SS.
102 kilowatt hour battery. It has 2 electric motors, and it has 615 horsepower. And let me double check the torque figure.
I heard that it has less torque at certain times and then more torque at other times. Is that true?
What does that mean?
Or horsepower? Well, I understand that there's a fancy mode with a really gimmicky name called Watts of.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
What's it called?
615 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. The drivetrain for this vehicle is lifted directly from the Cadillac Lyriq V, so the high-performance version of that. It's supposed to have 302 or 303 miles of range. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But like you were saying, Sammy, most of these high-performance drivetrains, when you look at a EV drivetrain specifically, when you look at their performance numbers, their output numbers, it's like a burst of power. Or it's a special mode that gives you that. And the reason for that is often due to heat, because the more power you pull out of a battery, the more heat is generated, the more quickly you do it. So if you're maxing out the amount of battery power delivery that you have, sometimes you can only do that for a certain amount of time before you need to shut things down and let the battery cool off. In the SS, there's something called wide open watts mode, which they abbreviate as WOW.
Wow.
It's accessible through the drivetrain selection. There's like drive mode selectors. There's like normal, sport, and all this stuff. But there's something called Z mode. And Z mode lets you configure the vehicle. And it also has a secondary button. Like you can configure throttle sensitivity. You can configure how heavy the steering feels, that kind of stuff. Like you would have for most performance cars these days. But you can also, there's a separate button on that screen that is for wide open watts. And you push that and it goes, like it makes like a noise like in War of the Worlds. Yeah. The Stephen King version. The Steven Spielberg. Can you imagine the Stephen King version of War of the Worlds? It stars David Duchovny instead of Tom Cruise. So it makes a tripod sound. Yeah. And then you have like crazy power for pretty much as long as you want it. Like I never had it wear off when I was using it. So maybe I just ran out of road before I ran out of acceleration.
Wow. So 105 kilowatts or
102 kilowatt hours.
102 kilowatt hour battery, 600 horsepower.
No, 615 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Also,
those are big numbers for a car.
Just to continue talking about Z mode, there's also a competition mode. There's a competitive mode that's accessible there. That
is not Z mode?
No, Z mode is the mode that allows you to. It's essentially just a word for like personal travel.
Oh yeah, okay.
Inside Z mode, there's a competitive mode which backs off like traction control and stability control. I used it a bunch of times. I never really noticed the vehicle getting out of sorts. I'm not the kind of person who's going to throw like a 6,000 pound vehicle around on a public road. So maybe if you're on a lot, like a big wide open stretch of asphalt in a parking lot and you wanted to drift it, you could probably do that in the competitive mode. My personal opinion is that absolutely zero people are ever going to put this on a track or in a high performance environment. I don't think that that's what this is for. And I think that General Motors recognizes that as well, because you don't get there's no air suspension. There's no adaptive shocks with this vehicle. You're getting like a monotube shock upgrade over the standard version of the car. But other than that, it's pretty much like Brembo brakes up front, 22-inch wheels with summer tires, and the big power boost. Like that's what the SS is. It also has some styling stuff. Like it does look different from other Blazers. Inside it had like a red interior, red leather, which was pretty cool. But when you're driving it, This is really an EV whose party trick is go very fast in a straight line, like 3.4 seconds to 60 miles an hour.
Holy.
That's extremely quick. It's faster than any other Chevrolet SS model in history. So all the big block Camaros, all of the
supercharged Corvettes.
Yeah, well, I don't know if those were SSs. Those were ZL1s.
Oh, sorry. You're just saying SSs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So in any case, it's very fast in a straight line. If that's entertaining for you, I think you would like this vehicle. Personally, I find that gets old. It's something you do a few times and then you kind of forget about it. I like the fact that I could easily pass people with this thing. Mm-hmm. This is so quick that I regularly was going way too fast on normal roads because you don't notice how fast you're going because of how sensitive the throttle is and how instantaneous the acceleration is. And like, because it's the fall and because of where I live, there's a lot of leaf peepers. I've mentioned this in the past. They're driving slow on the roads around my town. It's really annoying. Basically, it's a tourist complaint. Mm-hmm. And so I would pull out to pass them and I look down and I'm doing 100 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
It's just crazy. And it doesn't seem like 100 miles an hour. It does not feel fast.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And sometimes I know that luxury cars like really excel at delivering a car that is fast but doesn't feel fast. It feels like really like smooth and luxurious and refined. Well,
this is not a luxury car. I would wager that like if you're an SS fan, you're probably wanting to have an engaging driving experience.
A thrill, right?
This doesn't really offer that. It's extremely competent and extremely quick. It does not corner in an interesting way. It does not really reach out and grab you as a driving experience. It is very practical. It's got a ton of cargo room. It's got a great back seat. I think that the pricing is not totally out of line. In Canada, if you're looking at an SS, the price is $59,000 Canadian. That is not horrible. That's the US. Sorry, okay, I got that wrong.
Sorry.
It's 59,000 US. Again, not horrible for the insane amount of power you get this for. Get with this. Sorry. In Canada, it's 73,000, which makes it $13,000 more than the cheapest all-wheel drive version of the Blazer. That's a bit of money to spend. I don't know. The one real complaint I had about this vehicle, maybe two. The brake performance was not spectacular in the sense that there was kind of a vibration from the brakes at almost every speed, which made me think it was the regen and not the performance brakes that were doing it. Okay. Maybe my vehicle was beaten on a little bit, maybe not. Before I got it, I mean. The other issue I had was range. I mentioned earlier, 303 miles of range for this Blazer SS. That's pretty good. But in reality, I was driving at temperatures of about 11 degrees Celsius. So I want to say like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was only getting 44.7 kilowatt hours per 100 miles of driving, or 3.6 kilometers per 100 kilowatts of driving. All of that works out to 228 miles per charge, not 303 miles. And Sami and I were doing some investigation before we started recording where we were looking to see if this was an outlier. And other people who've had like a lot of highway miles on the Blazer, which is mostly what I was doing, I took 3 road trips in it. They were around 250 miles per charge. Someone I think got up to 275 miles. Either way, that's still well below what the factory is advertising. So the cold does affect battery power, but normally to see a 30% drop like I saw, you would have to be at below freezing, and I certainly wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we're starting to see a little bit more frequently with the Ultium platform vehicles. I think you had a similar complaint with the Equinox in the winter last year, that it was consuming energy nearly twice the rate it's supposed to. And it seems like maybe Ultium's cold weather performance is not nearly as good as what we've expected.
Well, I mean, this is just not that cold, though. Like it's not.
Yeah,
if you're above freezing, you should not have this issue, in my opinion.
So, I mean, that's another important thing to bring up is, are these things just over promising or under delivering entirely, right?
I mean, maybe in perfect conditions, you could achieve 300 kilometers, maybe.
But not in your...
It might be also aero. Like I'm driving about 75 miles an hour on the highway, but a number of my road trips were also on secondary roads where I was driving about 55. So like, where's the sweet spot for this vehicle? It's hard to know. in general, I mean, EVs are heavy. This is a 6,000 pound vehicle. The Sierra Denali I had the week before was 3,000 pounds more than that, and that is not efficient at all either. It might just be a feature of Ultium. You know, maybe Ultium is just very context sensitive when it comes to range.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that because I think that sets a really bad precedent for the mainstream EVs offered by Chevrolet and all of its other brands, right? That they just need a big battery to get anywhere. That's what you experience. That's what most people experience with the trucks, which I think that offer a 200 kilowatt hour battery.
205.
And everyone's really impressed with the range of that. But the reality is that if they were more efficient, and especially in different weather conditions or cold weather conditions, they should be better than what they're achieving.
The reality is these trucks are pulling a trailer filled with gasoline. That's the analogy that is most accurate when you're looking at their range. So I don't have much more to say about the Blazer SS. I'm not disappointed by it.
No, wait, I'm not done yet. Hold on.
Well, where are you going with it?
There's one more car that's kind of similar in this class, and that's the Ioniq 5N.
In fact, it's the only car that's similar in its class.
And is that worth talking about in any way or form? I know neither of us have driven it.
Neither of us have driven it. It's a few $1,000s more expensive than the SS. It's a little bit smaller. It's also 1,000 pounds lighter. So,
and they also make no discussion about how much more it is not the highest range version of the Ioniq, you know?
It isn't?
No, I don't think so.
You can buy a more expensive Ioniq 5?
No, more highest range. Like mileage.
Driving range?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about driving range. I think these are two different vehicles because the Ioniq 5N is everything that has been pushed to us for marketing shows it on a racetrack. And handling is like a big deal, and it has suspension work that the SS doesn't. I feel like if we really wanted to do an apples to apples comparison, you have to realize that one of these is a muscle truck and the other one is like a sports truck.
Interesting.
That's the way to look at it. And you know what? I can't blame Chevrolet for doing that. I don't really think there's a market for a vehicle the size of the Blazer that is a handler. Like it's not, who's buying that? I think the Ioniq 5N is also an anomaly. Mm-hmm. I feel like the smaller size and the lighter weight maybe makes it a little bit easier to swallow.
Only comparatively, right?
Yeah, only comparatively. Like these are
but like the reality of somebody who wants to have a performance car, a fun car to drive on a track, will opt for something as light as a Miata if they want to. Right?
There's also problematic aspects with we were talking about heat before, taking a vehicle to the track that is battery powered. You have to think about heat management. You always have to think about heat management at the racetrack, even with a gas powered vehicle. And with an EV, it's the same kind of idea, except instead of the engine, you're worried about the battery heat. And, if you exceed the battery heat, you can often be put into a limp mode. The other thing too is if the battery is really hot after you come off the track and you go to charge it, that's going to affect your charge speeds. It's a whole ecosystem. We're not really in a world yet where battery powered vehicles, I think, are making headway among enthusiasts who go to the racetrack. Again, smallest possible niche market you can think of. I completely get why they're not being focused on, but these two outliers, they're kind of bookends of the whole performance EV thing.
Yeah,
or should I say the affordable performance EV thing?
Yeah, I think the whole aspect is to have a car in the showroom that, with a single test drive can make someone go, "Oh wow, this is wicked."
But so many EVs can do that, right? Like there's so many EVs feel very fast.
I don't know how the difference from a 3.5 second to a 4.5 second 0 to 60 launch. They're both awesome, right?
It's all meaningless at this point.
Exactly. Which, there's nothing else you said you wanted to talk about with this car. You don't mind if I transition to the one that I drove?
Go for it.
Which is equally, disturbing to talk about in terms of performance.
Disturbing.
I drove the 2025 Range Rover SV, specifically the Edition 2, which again is a really weird name to provide a vehicle because it makes everyone know that you didn't get the first edition of a car, that you got the second one. It is a performance oriented version of the Range Rover Sport.
Is it an SVR?
It is not an SVR. The SVR name is gone now. It is the replacement for the old SVR.
So it's the Range Rover Sport Edition 2.
Range Rover Sport SV Edition 2.
Okay.
And it is, despite, typically Range Rovers offering a ton of off-road capabilities, this one has a totally track-oriented design in terms of the way they've engineered it. And let me walk you through this. Because
so just before you do,
yeah,
I want to bring up the fact
yeah.
that this vehicle is only 500 pounds less
Yeah.
than the Blazer SS.
Only 500 pounds less, significantly larger,
10%,
more spacious.
10% less weight.
And packs a turbocharged V8 engine,
That is
all-wheel drive.
Probably not as powerful.
You
right?
think so? No.
Okay.
626 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque.
So it has 100 pound less of torque and 10 more horsepower. Right. Okay.
And can do 0 to 60 in 3.8.
So you're looking at the Blazer's taillights.
Yeah.
And
barely.
what premium are you paying for the privilege of seeing a Chevy badge that
you want to see that? You want to know the price tag?
I can't quite reach.
The price tag of this edition to, especially the one I drove, was over 190,000 US, and in Canada 226,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, ain't it?
That is a lot. Did you know though that it weighs 168 pounds less than the non-SV edition 2?
Yeah, I did, because it has a lot of carbon fiber. Now, this is something that you really have to pay attention to, because why would basically nearly a 6,000 pound vehicle, or is it a 6,000 pound vehicle? I was looking at the kilos, need to shed weight? Like, what is the point here? And
the point is bragging rights, bro.
The thing is, this thing has a ton of carbon fiber accents. The hood is carbon fiber, and you can option it with carbon fiber wheels, which I think are the craziest idea for a Range Rover, because, the Range Rover's killer app is that they're usually really capable off-road.
But it's not the killer app for this vehicle, right?
No, I mean, this thing does have all the same off-road features in terms of like the off-road drive modes. It has an air suspension system. It should be capable at, getting over an obstacle or a pothole in your way, or
I don't know, man. I'm looking at the ground clearance of this vehicle. Are you able to raise it?
Yeah.
Okay. How high?
I don't know. I don't know the. Let me get that. I had it for a minute, but then I closed it, like I always do every single podcast.
Yeah, it's almost like your mind is a sieve.
Off-road ground clearance is 251 millimeters.
No one knows what that means.
9.8 inches.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's 1 inch more than a Subaru Outback. Just for those people. Those people.
That's always our benchmark, right?
Keeping score at home in terms of price versus ground clearance.
So I was really like, first of all, it's really attractive. Edition 2 comes in 4 different motifs. The one I had was this nebula blue matte paint. Matte paint is such a great idea in theory until you remember that washing it is a huge pain in the butt. And every time anything touches this paint, you have to wash it off in whatever way you can. But it's super attractive. It looked really nice. I couldn't help but think of other super SUVs when I was driving this car. And my personal favorites are always the BMW X5M and I think there's a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, which is around the same price point and performance characteristic of this car. But I found this thing to look really good, feel really good, sounds very good. In fact, this car features the same powertrain that's found in the BMW X5M competition.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks, BMW, for sending your engines out to
I do think it looks really good. I think you're right.
And I think it looks better than any of these other super SUVs that kind of like try to be really aggressive by, bulging out these fenders, putting on like scoops or bulges in the hood or other parts of the car, or vents. And I think this thing just really looked really sharp. I was really happy with that. Really strong first impression, even with that matte paint. And inside, it looks really cool too. There's a lot of weird gimmicks that I think are worth mentioning here. For example, as far as I understand, the Sport SV comes with the largest carbon ceramic brakes offered on the market, with discs that measure at 440 millimeters.
Again, with the millimeters.
That's what they use.
Let me break out my yardstick.
That's 17.3 inches.
So the Blazers are 15.3 inches. So,
yeah, bigger brakes and 8 pistons up front, 4 in the back.
What are we? Okay, are we ever going to get 10 piston brakes? Is that going to happen?
I think there are. I think there's 10 piston brakes.
Or are they going to skip to like a dual caliper setup?
I have RS6 potentially has. Is that off the? No, ZR1 2026 ZR1 has optional 10 piston brakes.
That's insane. Okay, again. Are these pistons just smaller? Because you only have so much size.
So much brake. Yeah, so much disc to grab.
And the caliper can only be so big, right? So like, are they just... I understand if you're making more of something smaller for heat reasons.
Yeah.
Like maybe it works that way. Or maybe it's just advertising. You know, like it's just an arms race for who can have the most pistons. Yeah. You know how many pistons my track car has?
2.
1.
What?
Single piston front brakes.
But your car weighs like paper.
Yeah, it weighs 2,500 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is like a little less than half of this gigantic SUV.
The Audi RS6, the Bentley Continental GT Speed, and apparently the 911 Turbo S can be had with 10 piston brakes as well. Anyways, Range Rover has told people that during their test drive of this car, they put on, I don't know, a ton of like 800 laps or something ridiculous like that. I don't believe it's
800 laps of what?
On Portimao, the Algarve racetrack there, or the racetrack in Algarve. And it did not need a change of pads at the end of it. They were very proud to mention that. I don't know if that's nearly as impressive.
I mean, how fast are you driving, guys?
I think it was for the media introduction. So usually those haul pretty
much. When I was at the M5 introduction it might have actually been that same circuit because it was also in Portugal. Yeah. They were changing pads like every 2 sessions. I'm not joking. And I ended up losing my brakes entirely at the end of the front straight. And one of the scarier moments I've had at a press launch, the pedal went all the way to the floor.
Ooh.
And I had to downshift. And I barely made that corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Range Rover has obviously heard that story over there at Algarve and been like, we'll try to make that not happen again.
Yeah.
Another important thing. So first of all, this thing rockets from a standstill. It has like a pretty high top speed. I think of 180, which is wild.
You love top speed.
I've never thought about it until I
never
reviewed
not
cars
talking
like
about
this.
it before the podcast.
You're right, usually. And it can stop really well. It also has an interesting suspension or chassis system. It doesn't have traditional anti-roll bars. Instead, it uses a combination of the air springs and these dampers, electronic dampers.
That does not sound expensive or complicated.
It's extremely expensive, very complicated. They call it 6D dynamics. There are 6 variables that the system calculates. Let me see if I can get them off the top of my head now, because again, I don't have the spec sheet. Lateral, vertical, longitudinal. I don't know how they calculate that one. Roll, pitch, and yaw. It calculates all of these things.
How many pistons is it?
Yeah, it calculates all of these things to optimize the ride quality for whatever you're gunning for, and as a result, can feel really flat when you're trying to corner with it, which is pretty cool for a big SUV like this. And I found it to not have a ton of body roll when I was hustling it on the back roads that I had for our video shoot. I did not take it on track because I'm not that crazy. And
Hamilton Raceway was closed?
Cayuga, it's called, but it was not closed. I just didn't feel like wasting a whole day going up and down and knowing the limits of this car for, I think, an audience that would probably not really care about it.
Are you talking about our podcast audience, Sammy?
No, I'm thinking about the potential shoppers or reviewers, the people who'd be reading and watching a review on this thing. Probably don't care about its track capability at all. I don't think this thing will ever see a track, despite it being so advanced and
potent. You might tow your track vehicle to the track with it, and it might see the track like over the pit wall.
Over the pit wall. And I mean, it's super cool. It's got a really great exhaust note, much better than I think blaps out of a BMW X5M. I think it sounded really great, looks really good. Handle's really nice for a car of its size. The interior has some really cool gimmicks. The main thing I need to point out is they've gotten rid of every single physical control in the cabin for the infotainment system. Really stupid thing to do. Even, volume knob, not there. You have to slide a button up and down on the edge of the on the edge of the infotainment screen.
Nobody wants this.
In addition to that, the screen is like haptic. It has like this haptic feedback. So you actually don't just slide your finger. You have to push and make sure that it vibrates back before you can, operate it properly. So it's really cumbersome to use. I'm sure that maybe over time you'd be super comfortable with it, but I couldn't help but think that if one thing goes wrong with the screen, pretty much any function you're looking to do with this infotainment system is wiped out as well. I need to talk about the sound system, but before I do that, I want to mention that these seats are really fancy. It has heated seats, vented seats, and massage seats up front. I'm mentioning that because there is a system in the seats that takes data from your sound, from your audio source.
Oh no.
And what do you think? And vibrates the seat in beat with your music.
This is like when you're a teenager and you put a subwoofer under the passenger seat to thrill your passengers.
I think there are 6 vibrators in the seat.
Oh, okay, is that what they call them?
I don't think they call them that, but
what
they
do they
feel
call
like
them? Personal massagers. It's a secondary massage system.
It is not the massage, because the massage seats usually use some sort of like, I think, an air system or a motor system to do it.
If I operate,
these are not air; they're like speakers. If
I operate these vibrators plus the massage system at the same time,
you can't do them both at the same time.
Do I go into orbit?
Yeah, you go into a headspace of orbit for sure.
I feel like this is the definition of distracted driving.
So, they have like a little app on the infotainment system called like Body and Soul.
Oh, awesome!
You click on this and it can like provide like this spa like experience where the seats kind of like tweet out to you in this really like, I guess, zenful way. I found it a huge gimmick, really funny, totally unnecessary. I can't believe. Yeah.
I got a follow-up question.
Hit me with it. I don't know if I'll be
5 years from now, how many of these Land Rovers are going to be totaled when these seats stop working?
Insurance can't cover the replacement of one seat, you're saying?
I'm saying that these vibrators, as you call them, they probably what if like they fail one by one and then you're just getting like erratic pulses and there's no way to do you can't replace the vibrators. And you can never imply ownership of the vibrators. You always have to say the vibrators, never your vibrators or his vibrators.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to replace the whole seat, I'm thinking.
I guess so. They're all in there, and they're really integrated in these seats, if you know what I mean.
I do know. I feel like they're a pressing issue. I think that those seats are probably $50,000 each.
Yeah.
And that's if you can find them in stock, because they're also selling them to movie theaters and I don't know, D-Box, isn't that what it's called in the movies?
I think so. I don't think they work in D-Box, do they?
Okay, do the rear passengers get this pleasure as well?
I don't think so.
What about the cargo compartment?
No.
What if I'm overlanding and I want a vibrating bed?
I bet you do. No, I don't think so. What is this? I need to see if I have better information on this.
This is one of the silliest. This is right up there with this is right below aquarium in the dashboard in terms of weird customizations.
Who has an aquarium in the dashboard?
No one does. That's the final frontier. It's either that or a soda dispenser. Those are the two things that we haven't had yet in a factory car. Now that we have butt dancing seats that boom to the rhythms.
Hold on, I got a great one for you. Not only is it called Body and Soul Seat, the acronym is BASS.
It's BASS or bass?
Bass, whatever.
Okay.
It is a multi-dimensional audio experience with wellness benefits, which allows the front seat occupants to feel the sound. This is the first production vehicle, probably the last, to incorporate a tactile audio system from you know this, industry leader sub pack.
Yeah, all my friends talking about sub pack. All my homies sub pack all day.
Technology used by the world's top recording artists and composers. You see, incorporating sub packs, AI optimizing software, the transducers, this is what they've called them, aligned to the front seat occupants' backs. Body and soul seat analyzes media in real time.
Just the back?
Generating, yeah.
I'm instantly less interested.
So they call them transducers. Do you know what I'm going to Google what a transducer is?
Yeah, transducer, it translates sound into motion.
And then, that's what you call it?
It translates one thing into a thing that's a different thing.
It's a device that converts energy from one form to another.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Except I said it in a less academic way. Sammy, I have a question.
No, hold on. I have one more thing. The Body and Soul Wellness Program, Basswell. No, I made that up. I'm sorry. The Body and Soul Wellness Program can help enhance the Range Rover Sport SV's front seat occupants' mental and physiological well-being by influencing heart rate variability.
Whoa, that seems like something a lawyer would not allow to be written anywhere.
The 6 specially developed tracks could affect HRV, either helping to reduce anxiety or improve cognitive response.
Special tracks. Are you saying that there's music that goes with this?
It sounds like your own music. Designed in collaboration with Coventry University's National Transport Design Center and School of Media and Performing Arts.
So it's not
specialty developed track. There's two. There's this wellness app that incorporates these 6 tracks.
Okay.
Or you can just make it work with whatever you're listening to.
Okay, here's my question. If you're
I'm not answering any questions. That's all I got.
If you're listening to opera,
yeah,
theoretically, could this system prove fatal?
Oh my God, why?
Because you hit those high notes and one of those transducer/vibrators just punches through your spine like the tiny mouth in Aliens.
Yeah.
Or like the fifth element. The fifth element.
Do you have a booking in mind for your Range Rover Sport SV?
A booking?
Are you going to book one to test it?
My heart rate is fine as it is. I don't need to start messing with that. Now, Subpack and I, we go way back. I don't need to. That's wild. That is the most frivolous feature I think that we've ever talked about.
Do you think so?
It's pretty close. What's more frivolous than that?
I love it. It's so good.
It's hard to think of something else.
I mean, it's as good as like having a mood ring in a car.
A mood ring in a car?
Yeah, it tells you what your mood is.
Is that a thing?
No, I don't think so.
What about a mood ring shifter?
Do you want that?
Well, we're close to having a mood ring. Doesn't Genesis have that like glowing orb? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's an infotainment screen. Oh, it's a gear selector.
Yeah, the gears. It's a glowing orb until it's a gear selector.
Yeah,
it flips over, Jaguar style. Yeah, so we've come close to mood ring, but just no one's.
And it changes color based on the drive mode, probably.
I'm surprised Hans Zimmer's not somehow involved in this.
I know. This is the anti Hans Zimmer. I mean, I think Land Rover tried. They tried to get Hans Zimmer, and he
was like, "This is frivolous.
This is not a BMW."
I wrote the score for Days of Thunder, but I won't debase myself to this level.
I think he looked at this and he looked at his BMW contract and said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you here."
It's the same motor.
Yeah, that was the main reason. They tried to entice him by saying, "Look under the engine. Of course, it's the same." Anyways, this car is wild. I had so much fun with it, but it's completely for nobody. I don't know why anyone needs a track-oriented Range Rover Sport SV, but they made it, and they made it pretty well. I'm surprised at that fact. But I also have pretty fond memories of the old SVR, as you called it, because it had a supercharged V8.
Yeah, I went to the launch of that vehicle. It was fun.
One of the coolest sounding motors I've ever, and really like high, like it had a really quick revving, like really good response on the throttle on that thing. It really sounded great, looked great.
I can't wait till the first person launches a child seat through the sunroof using the transducer system. Like
it's not in the rear seats. You think next year
a front seat child seat. Look, if you're irresponsible enough to use the transducers with a child in the car, then you probably don't pay attention to which row they're sitting in.
That's true. I guess so. I don't know if there's anything else I really have or want to talk about with this car.
Okay.
Cool car. But yeah, who's it for? And I hope they're enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we can move on to, we have a great question from listener Henry, who wrote in and said a whole bunch of kind stuff about the podcast. And we really appreciate that. It helps fuel us and make us feel like we're doing, like we're really connecting with people out there, which is great. We're happy to keep people entertained. Henry is asking, it's a very specific question. I think is also a very interesting question. So they are looking for a pickup truck because they have two specific needs, actually three specific needs. The first is it has to seat 4 people. The second is it needs to tow a 16-foot aluminum boat with about 300 to 400 pounds of gear. So that's the gear, the boat, and the seating. This means that you're looking at a crew cab pickup, most likely. And so far, Henry thought about the Tacoma, but with the engine issues, they said not sure about that. Santa Cruz and Ranger also look promising. Curious as to what we think. So there's
my first,
Well, I was going to say the answer depends on a couple of variables. One of the first is where that 300 to 400 pounds of gear is going to be stored. Because when we're talking about smaller trucks like this, or even larger trucks, which I've had problems with, you have to keep in mind that you have a gross vehicle weight rating to deal with, which is not the same as the gross combined rating, which is what they use to determine how much a truck can tow. But the gross vehicle weight rating is the maximum amount of weight that the vehicle's platform can handle once it's loaded. So that's what determines your cargo capacity. So for let's say a vehicle like the Santa Cruz, it's around 1,600 pounds of cargo capacity. That's what you could put in the bed. But that's a kind of a deceptive number because you also have to subtract the weight of the passengers. So let's say you're 4 people. Let's be conservative and say that's 600 pounds. So that's already, you're down to 1,000 pounds of cargo. Then you have this 300 to 400 pounds of gear, which, it could be anything. It could be fishing stuff. It could be camping stuff. It could be just outdoorsy stuff. So you add that, let's say it's 400. Now you're down to 600 pounds of cargo.
Yeah.
Now
we've turned into a math podcast instantly.
It's a math podcast. There's one last piece of math that it's easy to forget about. So you're thinking, all right, I have 600 pounds of cargo capacity left. That's not too bad. The trailer itself, I have, let's say for towing, I believe the Santa Cruz is 5,000 pounds. So a boat trailer, we're going to do some quick math. Was it, Sammy? An aluminum boat's around 600 pounds max, about the size? So. Let's add 1,000 pounds of trailer. I don't know. Anyway, you're well under the capacity for a Santa Cruz. But you have to take into account the tongue weight of the trailer, which can be up to 30% of the trailer's weight. And that cuts into cargo. So if you have 400 pounds of cargo left, or I think that's the number we're at, 600 pounds, sorry, and you have a trailer that is 1,500 pounds, let's say, you could have as much as 500 pounds on that tongue weight. And that cuts your cargo capacity down to 100 pounds left.
Yeah.
I'm bringing this up. This is you don't have to necessarily follow all the math I've said, but all we did was take all of the things that Henry's going to be putting in this truck, add them together, and we're at the knife's edge of what is possible for the gross vehicle weight rating. Now, in the scenario could be different. There might not be that much tongue weight.
Of which car? Which truck are you talking about here?
The Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, yes.
But even if you look at a vehicle like the Ranger, I believe the cargo capacity is 1,800 pounds. So that gives you more breathing room. Maybe Henry's bringing kids along and they only weigh, 200 pounds combined. That's a lot of variables. Maybe all of that weight that is the 400 pounds of gear is in the boat and it's not in the truck. If that's the case, you're adding it to the weight of the trailer. You're not cutting.
Easier.
Exactly. So there's a lot of variables. I'm bringing this up because we're talking about mid-sized trucks and compact trucks. In that area, you're going to be on the knife's edge when it comes to cargo more quickly than with some other trucks. In some cases, not necessarily always, but it is something you have to keep in mind a little bit more. Towing capacity, Santa Cruz is going to knock that out of the park. I mean, a Maverick would be able to do that as well, and that's maxed out around 4,000 pounds. You're still going to be okay, but it has similar cargo issues to the Santa Cruz. The Ranger is going to give you the biggest safety net in terms of, again, if you put that stuff in the boat, none of this is really an issue. You're going to be much more clear. The Ranger's towing capacity is 7,500 pounds. You're going to be
more than enough. Yeah.
Yeah. You're way below that. with this.
But it's
with
all
this
about
setup.
that tongue weight and that.
This is the kind of
GVWR.
trailer that you could realistically tow with pretty much any SUV and be okay. It's really the cargo space, the cargo capacity that becomes an issue. So if you're going just for like total comfort and not having to worry that maybe you've overloaded, the Ranger is going to be a better choice than the Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to ask yourself, how often am I towing? Am I willing to make sacrifices of comfort? Am I willing to make sacrifices of fuel mileage? The difference there might be between a Santa Cruz and a Ranger. If it's primarily daily driven with occasional towing, then maybe you're more careful with your loading and you're able to enjoy the other benefits of the unibody Hyundai. This is my thought process on it. I also agree, Henry. I would stay with away from the Tacoma. It's kind of weird, that drivetrain right now. I don't think they've completely got it sorted out. I had issues with the 4Runner that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where under towing it was okay, but when I wasn't towing, I had weird issues with throttle response and the transmission. And then last year I had some bad issues with the drivetrain, towing and non-towing in the Tacoma. Another option you might want to consider, Sami had thought about maybe a Ridgeline. I'm not totally familiar with the stats on the Ridgeline.
I always feel silly when mentioning the Ridgeline, but the Ridgeline is always an option. And you don't have to go for it, but it's got like a tried and true naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine. So in terms of reliability, I think they're known to be pretty good. And they're practical. They've got like an underbed storage system, which is both useful and completely useless when you have things on top of that like trunk opening in the bed. That ruins everything. If you're looking at a unibody truck, I mean, I like the Santa Cruz more than the Ridgeline, but the Ridgeline is definitely an option. I like the Ridgeline more.
If you're going to look at a full frame truck like the Ranger, I would also suggest a Chevy Colorado. Because I think of those two, I think the Ranger is really good. But the new Colorado is Turbo 4 only, right? It's still a very good drive. So it's still a really good drivetrain. I know you can get the Turbo 6 now in the Ranger, but for this application, it's not necessary. It's a nice to have, I would think, to have more power. But for what you want to do with it, you're not going to be straining. It's just more of a weight issue than anything else.
I just worry about the fuel efficiency once you start towing with a Turbo 4. I know that fuel efficiency in terms of towing with anything usually dips real hard, but with a Turbo 4 might be tough.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad with a boat that is of this lightness. Like, this is a very reasonable load. I
know people who tow it with unibody, SUVs.
Is there another truck that you would recommend? There's not a lot in the midsize to compact.
Frontier, baby. No, not at all.
I don't recommend the Frontier. It's fine, but I mean, if you
need to live with it every day, no.
There are better options, right? Like that's what it boils down to.
A super utility oriented truck, I would call that. I wouldn't really recommend it.
Henry, I really recommend driving them and seeing what you think of them. That's always the most important thing. Because in terms of stats, they will all do what you need them to do with varying degrees of safety, like safety margin. That's going to be the biggest difference between them in terms of capacity and capability, but the personality of the truck, your comfort inside of it, the size of the cab, how big your passengers are and how big they're going to need the rear of the crew cab to be. That's all something that driving the truck, experiencing firsthand is really going to tell you. So I would say go drive Santa Cruz, Ridgeline, Ranger, and Colorado. I mean, the GMC version of the Colorado as well, if you want styling. It's at that point, it's a question of styling. Those would be my 4 that I would.
And then what happens if those don't work out? He needs more.
He strikes out on all 4 of those.
He needs that. What's the first stop full size that you
full size is overkill because you're not necessarily going to get better cargo capacity with a full size because of how heavy trucks have become and because of how many options they have. A couple years ago, I had a Ram 1500 and the tongue weight of the trailer I was driving, which was very tongue weight heavy, it overloaded the cargo capacity of that truck. And I overloaded the air suspension on the vehicle because of the tongue weight of the trailer, because the cargo capacity was very low. I think it was like less than 1,000 pounds. So, I mean, not great. For this job, I can't recommend a full size. I think Henry's on the right path.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that's this week's episode of the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. I really recommend our listeners head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com, where you can see all of our previous episodes and links to the stories that we've written about them. But more important than that, you can contact us just like Henry did through our website. You just hit the contact button there. You fill out the form, hit submit. It lands in our inbox, and we typically talk about it as soon as we can. Additionally, you can reach out to us on social media. I think we both prefer Instagram, right, Ben?
Sure.
You can find Ben at Hunting Benjamin. You can find me at Sami_ha, like you're laughing. Ben, what are we talking about next week?
So I have a few
What
things.
a big sigh. What's that all about?
I have a few things I could talk about, but what I'm going to talk about is a car that we've never ever had on the podcast before, from a brand that we've never had on the podcast before.
Okay.
And that is the Lucid Air.
Lucid Air, very exciting to talk about. I will also have a car I don't think we've talked about on the podcast. It's the Acura ADX. Have you had that?
No, we haven't.
So very cool. All sorts of new stuff on the podcast these days.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
And send us more emails. We love it. Bye.
Bye.